And it's
Right.
live. Welcome to the NFL Corner, episode 20. We are doing another tier list, and today it will be a tier list which will ruffle a few feathers and I'm sure pee a lot of people off, which is we're going to be ranking just the franchises in general and a little bit about their history, but more about their upcoming year in the NFL 2020 to 2021 season.
Yeah.
And I'm also, of course, joined by Will. Hello, Will.
Hello. How are you?
I'm not doing bad, mate. How are you?
I'm alright.
In the news this week for the NFL, we have a small deal that occurred, just a small one. Patrick Mahomes signed a new 10-year contract that guarantees him almost £500 million.
Dollars.
Oh, well, wait, how does the ratio work? You get more dollars for your pound, don't you?
Yeah.
So it'd be less than $500 million. I was trying to save myself, but no.
I think it is it's 400. I think it's 10 years, 450 million, but with incentives can reach 503. So it could be the first half a $500 million contract, which is just mental.
That's insane. And to be fair, I don't even think he's 24 yet, which is depressing for the most part. But also, congratulations, and I'm sure him and his family and everything else are extremely happy, and the Chiefs Kingdom as well. I'm sure they're very happy. But their cap space for the next couple of years, just rest in peace, because Mahomes has got it all.
Yes. And people like Chris Jones might need paying, and you might not see him getting paid by the Chiefs now because, like you said, when they give Patrick Mahomes that much money, it's hard to pay players down the road when you're paying your quarterback. Almost, I'd say at least 15% of the salary cap, maybe even 20%. Yeah.
I mean, look,
it's going to shrink in it as well now.
It's about 50 million a year. If you think 500 over 10 years, that's about 50 million a year. So, well done. Congratulations to him. Deshaun Watson is up next, so we'll see if he gets paid and how his contract.
Deshaun Watson is up next, but Dak Prescott's got approximately 6 days to sign his deal. Otherwise, he'll be playing on the franchise tag.
I mean, Dak Prescott seeing Patrick Mahomes get all that money, thinking, "Let's go!" Before he signs a 3-year, $400 billion contract No, we'll see what occurs with that, but that should be on the show next week. Any more news, really?
Not much. It's just we're all just waiting for as we get close to the season starting, whether it's going to be a proper season, whether it's going to be a shortened season. We're all just kind of in limbo now. We don't know when the season's going to start. There was a vote by the NFL, by the franchise made a vote. I think all 32 owners were in favour of playing no preseason games, but the NFLPA are yet to announce if that's going through or not because they've not agreed on it. But if that was to happen, it'd be the first time in probably in NFL history where there's been no preseason games. So players, their first game will be in a regular season game, so you might see some rust there from some players. But yeah, as of right now, there will be still two preseason games, but all the NFL owners were not bothered about playing any, which was quite remarkable, I think, really.
Yeah, it's a strange time, but if it means getting the season back and getting it safely done, then I'm more for that, definitely. But as I say, moving on to today, we'll talk about pre-season, but let's not talk about it. Let's talk about what we think teams' aspirations are for the regular season. And if we switch over now to the tier list that we've got here, all NFL teams are situated there, and we will be ranking them as you see accordingly on the left-hand side. We've got Super Bowl contenders, playoff teams, good teams, average teams, and teams that are definitely in a rebuilding phase, and we will get to them accordingly. Well, Will, do you want to take us through? We'll go. Alternatively, you can start with the first team.
So the first team on the list is the Atlanta Falcons. This is a tough one because a few years ago they were in the Super Bowl and they made the playoffs the season after that, so they were always a good team. But they have fallen off the past few years, struggled to make it into the playoffs, had average seasons. As of right now, I'd say the Falcons are a good team. I don't think they're a playoff team, but I still think they're a good team and they're better than average.
Yeah, I'd completely agree. If I was looking at them all, I'm thinking they're a good team. They could definitely make the playoffs, but they could also falter as well.
Yeah.
Still, we know about the talent that they've got. They've got Julio Jones, who's arguably the best wide receiver in the league and one of the best players with his physical attributes. But I think good team is a fair enough position to put the Atlanta Falcons. Next up, it's the Baltimore Ravens. They're only going one place for me. Super Bowl contender.
Yeah, I completely agree. I know they had an early exit from the playoffs last season with the loss to the Tennessee Titans, but when you look at the roster as a whole, what they've done this offseason to improve it and just make it a championship contender, like there's players on there. There's a good player in every single position on the Ravens team, and obviously you've got the reigning MVP Lamar Jackson. It's hard not to say they're going to be Super Bowl contenders next year.
Yeah, definitely. They didn't really lose much. I mean, they lost Michael Pierce to us, but I don't think they'll miss him too much. They improved in the draft. I think they got Patrick Queen, which was the perfect match for their franchise. And overall, they're just getting better and better. And I wouldn't be surprised to see them lifting the Lombardi Trophy next year. And be in front of a crowd or without a crowd, we don't know. But for me, from the offset, alongside probably a team we'll talk later. We won't spoil anything, but I think they're one of the favourite contenders, definitely.
Definitely, and when you look at the rest of the league, when you look at the AFC, more in depth, the Ravens really are a team that you could see walking the AFC next season along with another team, like Kieran said, we'll mention a bit later. But yeah, I agree. Yeah, exactly. They're definitely Super Bowl contenders. So now the Carolina Panthers. This is a strange one, I think, because the Panthers last season finished 5-11, but they did start 5-3, and they lost 8 straight games. They've still got some very good players on the roster, but when you look at the roster as a whole, it's not got a lot of depth. There's still some weaknesses in the team. Obviously, they've signed Teddy Bridgewater as the new quarterback. They've got a new head coach in Matt Rule. Where would you go here, Kieran? I'm stuck between two.
Yeah, I'm honestly, and it's not that the bottom tier is a bad tier, right? But I'm thinking the way they just revitalized that defense, and they've literally got a load of rookies on the defense, pretty much, to kind of patch things together. They lost Luke Kuechly. I'm borderline saying they're rebuilding.
I was going to say average or rebuilding. I don't know which one to put them in.
Yeah, and it's not a bad thing that they're rebuilding, because I think they're ahead of other teams that are also trying to rebuild. I think they've got the stuff there, with Christian McCaffrey obviously signing a new deal alongside Teddy Bridgewater. But because they're completely redoing the defense, I'd go with rebuilding. Not as a bad thing, but...
No, I agree. I mean, rebuilding is not a bad thing, You can call it rebuilding, you can call it retooling, whichever word you want to use. But yeah, I agree. They've got the new head coach, and they got rid of Ron Rivera, who's been the head coach for a long time. Like I said, Luke Kuechly's gone. Cam Newton's gone. It's a new era for the Carolina Panthers. All 7 draft picks they used in the draft were all on defense. They really want to get some more youth on that defense because it has suffered injuries, and they lost a lot of veterans in for injury. But yeah, I agree. The team's definitely rebuilding, trying to get back to that playoff contention where they were a few years ago.
Yeah, definitely. As we said, we were talking about doing this tier list, and we didn't want to put like a tier of crap, or some people like do tier lists for like either soccer teams it would be, or that saying go bust as a tier. It's like, I don't wish that upon anyone. So it's just rebuilding. Doesn't mean that we're a bad team, because in the NFL it's such a year-to-year league, even a week-to-week league at most points. So it's no bad things there. Now this one is an interesting one. It's a team from the NFC North. It's the Chicago Bears, who for me have, especially on defense, have a lot of talent, but they've not quite shown it in the last couple of years. So I'm torn again between two. But I do think they're a good team. But when it comes clutch, they're an average team. Like on paper, they're a good team, but on the field, they're an average team. So I'm a bit torn here, because there's no reason why they can't either run the NFC North close or finish in that second spot and maybe make the playoffs alongside us and Green Bay. I'm torn between.
It's a tough one. It's a tough one because when you look at the Bears team as a whole, their defense is absolutely brilliant, but then their offense doesn't match that. So they rely on their defense a lot of them to win games. And when they went 12-4 last 2 years ago and they made the playoffs and lost in the first round to the Eagles, that defense really was the focal point of that team, and it won them most games. And Mitch Trubisky, he had a decent season, but majority of the games he was along for the ride. And when it was time for Mitch Trubisky to make the plays, he made a few, but couldn't get them over the hump. I'm leaning to more of an average team.
I'll let you make him. I'll let you.
I was going to say average team because I think that they're an all right team, but like it's all right to have your defensive side of the ball very good, but the offensive side of the ball is just not don't match up in my opinion. And when you've got one superior side of the ball that's better than the other, I think you're more of an average team, and you're not really going to win games and try and compete for the playoffs. So I think the trade to get Nick Foles was positive, but their offensive line is still very, very average. They spent a lot of money on Jimmy Graham at tight end, which I don't know why they did. We talk about the defense was brilliant, but Khalil Mack had a down year. Eddie Jackson wasn't as influential in the backfield as he was when they made the playoffs. I'd say right now they're an average team. But they could definitely rise to a good team as the season goes on.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they make the postseason.
Would you agree on the average team, or?
Yeah, that's fair enough. Yeah, that's fair, and it gives us a nice little neat line. Look at that. It's beautiful. I'll let you talk through the next team, which does mean you'll be having the Dallas Cowboys. I've just realised. So we'll talk about them later. But first, I'll let you talk through Cincinnati.
And you've also got the Vikings. I've just counted the teams then.
All right. There we go. Honestly, Super Bowl contenders. Honestly.
So the Cincinnati Bengals, I think I'm going to put them in rebuilding because I really think they are rebuilding. Young head coach in Zach Taylor. They've just had the first overall pick with Joe Burrow. They're not looking to compete straight away. They might win a few more games this year than obviously they only won 2 games last year. So I'm expecting them to win more games this year. But I still think they're in a rebuilding stage. Young team, spent a bit of money in free agency, but overall the roster's not ready to compete in my opinion. I'd say rebuilding. Would you agree?
Yep, completely agree. I mean, I love the addition of T. Higgins, give Burrow a weapon straight away, but I just don't think that's going to be enough to carry them to anything more than. It'll be a below average season, but it'll be better than what they achieved last year, which was,
2 wins.
Extremely poor. But I think that's fair. I think they'll admit it as well. Cincinnati, I don't think are expecting to go 1 year 2-14, like for the 49ers of last year. They're not going to do that. They haven't got the structure there yet to do that.
No. So, I mean, and with the 49ers as well, it was kind of like the only reason they were bad was because Jimmy G tore his ACL and they had a lot of injuries where when they were fully healthy, they showed what they could do. And obviously with Nick Bosa and a good draft, that's why they improved. But yeah, like you said on T. Higgins, I think it's funny with T. Higgins because they've got AJ Green right now, the Bengals. I see T. Higgins as an heir to AJ Green. I think they're very, very similar players. So we saw Andy Dalton and AJ Green grow together. We might see Joe Burrow and T. Higgins go into that, next really good quarterback wide receiver combination.
Yeah, I'd definitely like to see that. Next up is the Cleveland Browns, and another one. All the big names, all the talent on some players. You look at OBJ especially. Baker Mayfield at quarterback. I'm going to put him in average. I think would be my choice. Even though I do think, again, it's another team a bit like the Bears, who've just been underperforming for years.
I agree. If you talk about roster and just complete players, and you just want to look at the players on the roster, they're a good team on paper. But when you look at how they play, they're a very average team because they just can't seem to win games, can't seem to gel.
No, I think I'd probably stick with average team.
I agree.
They've got a new head coach, Kevin Stefanski. Maybe he can come in and finally get the best out of his players. For example, finally get OBJ, looking at the OBJ we saw in New York, maybe, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. But, I mean, you'd expect Baker Mayfield to improve on his second year. He had that sophomore slump, 21 touchdowns, 23 picks, not a very good season, finished 6-10. And I like the hire of Kevin Stefanski because I think he just brings more. I think Freddie Kitchens, the coach they fired, wasn't ready to be a head coach, but I think Kevin Stefanski, he's ready to lead a team as a head coach.
Yeah, I think that's more than fair.
Yeah, and we'll move on to the next team now. Dallas Cowboys, my team. We missed the playoffs last season. We went 8-8, which is, if we're talking about last season, we'd be an average team because that's epitome of average. When I'm looking at the roster, and obviously new head coach Matt McCarthy, and we did make the playoffs, not last season, the season before that. We also won the NFC. We got the first seed in the NFC, believe it or not, in 2016 as well with a 13-3 record. We're a very up and down team. So when we usually miss the playoffs, one season we seem to make the playoffs season after for some reason. But I think we've improved the roster this season. We lost a few names such as like Byron Jones and Robert Quinn. But I think we had a brilliant draft. And as I mentioned, the new head coach, Matt McCarthy. I'm thinking Dallas Cowboys should at least be looking this season to be a playoff team.
I'm with you. I'm with you 100%. A little bit of that is lucky you're in the division you're in, because the only real competition is the Eagles, and the Eagles either seem to have injury problems or they don't blow anyone away, but they're a good team. They're always a good contender. But if there's a division you're going to win, you're in an easy enough one to kind of storm it with the team you've definitely organised and assembled. You've made really good draft. You had a really good draft. The fact you got CD Lamb, unbelievable, great selection, and your weapons on offense, if they weren't there already, 3 wide receivers in Cooper, Gallup, Lamb. You look at quarterback, you've got Dak if he signs his franchise tag, then Zeke at running back. You just need your defense to shore up a little bit more, because I think it was the 2 years ago your defense was the best. I think, was it?
Yeah, it was. Well, the year we made the playoffs last season when we went 10-6, we made it to the divisional round. The defense was our main part of the team. It led us. Whereas last season the offense took over. They were the number one ranked offense with Kellen Moore as new offensive coordinator, but the defense kind of fell off a bit. Leighton Van Der Esch, who was our rookie linebacker, had an outstanding rookie season. He missed 10 games this last season, so we really missed him at linebacker next to Jalen Smith. And DeMarcus Lawrence's production fell off completely after getting paid, so I expect him to have a bounce back year. And obviously losing Robert Quinn can hurt us, but I think with the addition, we might get Randy Gregory back, might get Olin Smith back. I like the Bradley and I pick, Gerald McCoy and Dontari Poe, and nice signings on the defensive line, because we were getting run over last season by a lot of teams, so we needed some big beef in the middle, and I think we got that. And the signing of Harkins and Dix as well to pair with Xavier Woods at safety, I think it's a young athletic defense that I'm hoping can bounce back and help the offense and to win games, because the offense was really out there by itself last season in a lot of games.
Yeah, and I think, as we've said, I think your goal this year is definitely playoffs. You seem to have been the team that have made that step to not want to go 8-8, and they don't want to miss another year of postseason football. But we'll move on to another team that I think made good steps in trying to, broaden their horizons. Due to the division, I'm not willing to put them in playoff team just yet, but I am going to put Denver Broncos as a good team. I think coming into this next season, they are a good team. And towards the end of the year, they showed they were a good team with Drew Lock at quarterback, and the amount of offensive weapons they have. Still got Von Miller, who obviously has recovered, I'm sure, now from coronavirus. So I'm very excited about Denver. I'm going to put them in good team. If you disagree, you can tell me. But
no, I completely agree. The division one is a tough one, where obviously you've got the reigning Super Bowl champs in the division. You've also got the Chargers, who are looking like a good team as well, who we'll talk about a bit later. But yeah, I agree. The Denver Broncos definitely a good team. That offense is, it really, really could be one of the more explosive offenses in the league. I think the defense will improve as well. I think Vic Fangio coming in as his second year as head coach, that was his first year with the team. Finished 7-9, started pretty poorly, but once, like I said, they started Drew Lock and they started to believe in him and run the offense around him, they started to win more games. And I know you've said it on many occasions. Teams that were competing for the playoffs last season, they didn't want to play the Broncos later on in the season because they were just that bogey team where they could easily beat anybody on the day. So yeah, I agree. They're a good team. But as you can see in the tiers, we've got 2 teams in the last 3 tiers. Would you swap them around, or would you keep them as they are? Would you put the Broncos ahead of the Falcons, or would you put the Browns ahead of the Bears?
Oh, in terms of right, okay, let's have a look. Do you know what? No. Argument for Browns over Bears, but that's the only one I can see there that needs changing, in my opinion.
Put the Bears at the Browns.
It's up to you. Do you think there's any that needed changing? I think maybe the Browns, because Browns have got more obvious stars, I'd say.
Yeah. Well, I think the new head coach, Kevin Stefanski, will just improve the Bears so much. And Baker Mayfield in his 3rd year, he's got something to prove, because if he has another terrible year, the Browns might look to move on. I agree. I think if I was going to watch a game now, Browns versus Bears, I'd put the Browns as the favourites to win the game.
Yeah, exactly. But I don't think any of the others need changing. No,
I'd probably do it. Yeah.
It's very tight between the Atlanta Falcons and Denver Broncos. So I think they'd have a really close game.
Mm-hmm.
It's fun to watch as well, actually. Yeah. But it's your turn, so you can take us through this next team.
The Green Bay Packers, who I know Kieran doesn't like a lot, but on paper and last season they showed they are still a pretty good team. Finished with the 12-4 or 13-3. The Green Bay Packers, I think they were 13-3, weren't they? Or were they 12-4?
Why do I think 13-3, even though I called them not a very good team?
I thought they were 13-3, but they looked into many wins, didn't they?
Yeah, I think it's 13-3 they finished.
13-3. So yeah, they made it to the NFC Championship game where they lost to the San Francisco 49ers. Again, they've got Aaron Rodgers as quarterback. We all know what Aaron Rodgers can do. Matt LaFleur as head coach. However, I'm not willing to put them as Super Bowl contenders because I just don't think they improve the offense. All right, in the draft or the offseason. The defense is nice, but Aaron Rodgers has got Devante Adams and a bunch of nobodies, really. Aaron Jones in the backfield is a nice running back, but I'm personally going to put them as a playoff team.
Yep, I was with you all the way. They're not for me. Would it surprise me if they got to a Super Bowl? A little bit, yeah, a little bit. But Aaron Rodgers is playing with a chip on his shoulder with the addition of Jordan Love, so maybe that we see an angrier, but also better Aaron Rodgers. And if it's a better Aaron Rodgers than usual, then that's scary for many teams, especially us in the NFC North who have to play him twice a year. But I do think they're definitely better than a good team. If you put them up against the Falcons or the Broncos, I would back the Green Bay Packers to win. Still, they've got an impressive young head coach. So I think that's fair. I think they obviously didn't. We were surprised that they didn't add any weapons at all to their team, but they very much stayed the same. But the teams around them in our division didn't get massively better either. So I think that's fair.
Yeah. Would you put the Cowboys or the Packers ahead so far on the playoff team?
I actually rate your roster more, but they've got a more proven track record.
Yeah.
So who am I backing more to make the playoffs?
They did make it to the NFC Championship game last year as well. And like I said, although they didn't lose a lot of players.
They did get run over.
Oh yeah.
I feel like this year you wouldn't get. I think you versus the Packers this year, I would back you to win. I probably would, just with the additions you made and the team you've got. I think you underperformed last year, whereas I would arguably say that the Packers overperformed with their squad, with their roster last year. So maybe it's bias coming in, but I would probably put the Cowboys ahead of the Packers.
That's fine. I'll agree with that. If the Cowboys ahead of the Packers, I'll agree with that any day of the week.
I'll heap the praise, and you just keep accepting it. Next up, speaking of dodgy off seasons, it's the Houston Texans, and they were a playoff team up until last year, but I'd drop them to good team at the moment. They've still, their team doesn't live and die by DeAndre Hopkins, but it's definitely weakened with him as a loss. But I think they've still got a good enough team. I'm not going to bank on them being a playoff team. Again, quite an easy division. If you're looking at it on the outside, there's no standout team because Tennessee went on some romantic run.
Yeah.
Whereas, so I'd put Houston Texans in a good team.
Yeah, I agree. And I think one of the main contributing factors for them being a good team is Deshaun Watson. You take Deshaun Watson of the team, probably an average team. But he really is the heart and soul of the team. But yeah, I agree. They were a playoff team last year, so although they lost Hopkins and they lost some players in the defense, I still think they're a good team. And like you say, the AFC South, it's really is up for grabs because teams, all the teams in that division are so inconsistent. Yeah, we could look at the Jags, maybe the outlier of that group, but the Colts improved. The Titans pretty much stayed the same, coming off an AFC Championship appearance. And the Texans, although they lost Andrew Hopkins, they still don't fall right down the pecking order in the division. But yeah, I agree. I think they're a good team.
Definitely. So I'll let you talk through New York.
New York Giants. It's only one place for me, and it's rebuilding. They've got some good players. Saquon Barkley's a fantastic running back. Daniel Jones looks like he's up and coming, but the offensive line still needs big work. The defense is very old. It needs a lot of work. So I think right now they're rebuilding and retooling to get better.
I'd put them ahead of the Bengals.
Oh yeah,
I'd definitely put them ahead of the Bengals. It's torn between them and Carolina, but I at first I was thinking they're an average team. They did okay last year. Was it 5-11 they finished?
Yeah.
Or 4-12, one or the other.
I think it was 5-11.
But as we said, that was a lot of the year without Saquon. So it's okay. They had a little bit of problem in the off season with some of their players and the whole arrest thing. But I do think overall next year won't be a year for the New York Giants just yet. I do think that they need to they need to rebuild. Who did they take at number 3 that we thought was like the 4th best offensive lineman?
Well, they drafted Andrew Thomas with the fourth overall pick for the offensive lineman. But yeah, I think that another reason I put them in rebuilding is because of their new head coach, Joe Judge. It's a first year's head coach. So when you come in as first year head coach, as a rookie head coach, it is tough for you. And that's why I put them in as rebuilding, because I still think that they're retooling. And I can't see Joe Judge coming in as a rookie head coach and taking them, But I mean, even if they won 8 games with Joe Judge, rookie head coach, I think that's a massive success for the Giants. But I can't see that happening, so I'm going to say rebuilding.
And hopefully we see a little bit more of Daniel Jones, who had a quite impressive rookie year, but didn't quite steal the headlines as some other rookies, but hopefully we see more of him this year. Now, to my Minnesota Vikings, my beloved Minnesota Vikings. Lost a lot in the offseason, and obviously losing a lot, you also lose a lot of experience. Very stripped down in the secondary. We still really are. If we look at Harrison Hand, Mike Hughes, Cam Dantzler, Jeff Gladney. Yes, Jeff Gladney's experienced for a rookie, but he's not played in the NFL. So I'm actually going to put us in good team. I don't really back the playoffs we'll be relying on rookies. I mean, we lost Stephon Diggs, 1,000-yard receiver. Are we expecting to see Justin Jefferson come in and do the exact same thing straight away with his first year in the NFL? We'll be asking a lot of rookies this year. So I think, and also on the defensive end, we lost Everson Griffin. We lost on the defensive line. We lost
Linval Joseph.
That's the one. We lost Linval Joseph. Yes, we gained Michael Pierce. Yes, we gained DJ Wonnum. Still, our offensive line didn't get massively better. I like Ezra Cleveland, but again, rookie. I'd go good team.
I think you're a playoff team because I think you're better than every single team in good team so far.
Maybe we're the top of good team then. I honestly, I love us. Obviously, I support them. But if I'm being realistic, we're not Cowboy Packers level. Not at the moment. Maybe Packers more. We're closer. But still, I don't think we're quite there yet because of just how young we're now relying on quite a few youngsters. We've still got players like Eric Kendricks and Daniil Hunter and Adam Thielen. Great players, and Kirk Cousins as well. Still got Dalvin Cook issues, of course.
You got the best safe. You got arguably the best safety tandem in the league in Harrison Smith and Anthony Harris.
Yeah, and obviously Anthony Harris signed his franchise tag. I hope to see a future in Minnesota for him. I'd go top of good team.
Well, I would have said you're a playoff team, but if you want to go top of a good team, I think that's probably fair enough. But I think the reason why I thought it was a playoff team is because we've got an experienced head coach in Matt Zimmer. Kirk Cousins showed he could win in the playoffs last season. And, we talk about all playoff teams that we think could be playoff teams coming into the season. They're this next hot team. They've got all the new players. They've got this new head coach. But the Vikings had been and done it last season. They've won 10 games. They beat the Saints in their own building last season. They've shown that they can win. And yes, they lost some players, but you also got to look at you lost some players. You've brought in the new rookies where they're not going to be as experienced, but they're going to be more hungrier. They're going to be more athletic because they're underrepresented in the league. They're looking to prove something to the head coaches. And you've still got your centerpiece franchise players. Your offensive line improved a lot. And if you improve, obviously, if you can protect Kirk Cousins more, you're going to get better production from him. Adam Thielen's now the leader wide receiver. He was coming off a bit of an injury last season, but I think now him fully healthy will really help. You still got a brilliant tight end in what's his name? Forgot his name.
Cal Rudolph.
That's it, Cal Rudolph. So I think when you look at the roster overall, you've still got your centerpiece players, and there's no reason why you couldn't compete in your division. And don't forget, there is an extra playoff spot this season, so you could easily sneak into that 6-7 spot. That's why I thought I saw you as a playoff team, just because of an experienced team with a good head coach.
It's fair enough. There is an extra playoff spot. The NFC is really stacked. I think the NFC is massively stacked, and especially with some other teams as well that have kind of risen, I think, during the off-season. But I'm going to stick with where I've put them because I'm just one thing is at least the players we've lost have proven they can get to the playoffs. I haven't seen that from the rookies yet, but hopefully that youthful fearlessness and drive that comes with rookies to prove themselves is vital. And maybe it does push us to the playoffs, but we'll yet to know.
Yeah, we'll wait and see. The Detroit Lions, the next team up, they're also a team in the NFC North. I'm looking mostly towards rebuilding. I know they've still got Matt Stafford, a quarterback who's been there a while, but I think obviously they have really high draft pick this year, picking Jeff Okudah. They obviously took DeAndre Swift as well. They took Julian Okwara, the defenseman from Notre Dame, whose brother also plays for the Detroit Lions, Romeo Okwara. So they've now got the Okwara brothers on both defensive end spots, which will be fun to watch. Yeah, I think they're rebuilding at the moment because I haven't seen them win enough over the last few seasons to warrant them being, an average or a good team to a point where they could be all right and they could push for the playoffs. I think they really are rebuilding. The roster needs an overhaul. Obviously, they got rid of Darius Slayer, their long-time cornerback. They've got a really, really good up-and-coming wide receiver in Kenny Golladay, a good young tight end in Hawkinson. So right now, they're still too young for me to contend, but looking seasons further down the line, when they've rebuilt and got more high draft picks in the building, I think they'll be a much better team. But as of right now, I'd say they're a rebuilding team.
Yeah, they started really well last year.
Yeah.
But then completely slumped and were never to be seen of or talked about in terms of postseason football again. They are. Where do you put them in the rebuilding? Because I think again they're above the Bengals.
Yeah, I think they're above the Bengals, definitely. You know what? If I were going to watch the Giants Lions right now, I'd probably pick the Lions if Matt Stafford was playing. But if Matt Stafford's not playing, it's an absolute disaster. Because Matt Stafford, we've seen his injury issues past few years. He's really struggled. But when he has played, the Lions are, they're a good team.
I'd say Giants if Saquon Barkley's fit, because then it's a different. I think that it could run riot. But I think that's fair as we've got it at the moment.
Yeah, we'll leave it as it is.
Next up, it's a team that went to the Super Bowl, had a decent showing. They had the lead until the fourth quarter, where Patrick Mahomes did Patrick Mahomes type things. But I think it'd be rude not to put them in Super Bowl contenders again, because they didn't massively lose anything. They had a really good draft. Obviously, actually, speaking about the news as we do as a start, Raheem Mostert requesting a trade.
Yeah.
That will affect them massively due to how good he was last year and the way they just ran through teams. And do you know what? Deservedly so. I think he does believe he needs to get paid after what he really did to that franchise last year, and that's fair enough. But I think it'd be rude not to put them in Super Bowl contender. They might be the weakest of the Super Bowl contenders, but I think they are.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. They could definitely contenders. The roster as a whole is very, very strong. Like I said, they drafted very well. They got rid of DeForest Buckner, who they traded to the Colts, but in return they got your young rookie Javon Kinlaw. They got another wide receiver to replace Emmanuel Sanders, Brandon Ayuk, and obviously they traded for Trent Williams as well. Showing up that offensive line at left tackle, protecting the blind side, Jimmy Garoppolo. And I think just with head coach Kyle Shanahan, he's a very young head coach. Last year he showed us his offenses can be so explosive when he's got the right players. Obviously, Deebo Samuel got injured, but when he comes back, he'll be a focal point of the offense. And the defense last year, it was the number one defense in the league. They were stacked everywhere. Richard Sherman, coming off an Achilles injury, was fantastic. And I think the 49ers, when you look at the team, they're definitely a Super Bowl contender.
Yeah, I think, as we say, I think it'd be rude not to put them in there after the year they had last year.
Yeah, I agree. Now it is my turn, your turn?
It's your turn, because I spoke through the San Francisco 49ers, so it'd be your turn. So
the Arizona Cardinals, definitely a team that I'm sure everybody's looking forward to watching next season with the moves they made in the offseason and the draft. Right now, because I'm waiting to see the product on the field, I'd say they're a good team. Not wanting to put them in playoff team just yet, but honestly, if they made the playoffs, I wouldn't be shocked at all, because obviously they acquired DeAndre Hopkins, they improved the defense a lot. Kyler Murray's coming to his second year. Could he take that second year jump like we saw from Patrick Mahomes or Lamar Jackson? Right now, I'd say they're a good team, but like I said, no reason why they couldn't be a playoff team. What would you say?
I agree. Another tough division for them, but we're all high on the Arizona Cardinals. Maybe it is one of them, though, like all the pressure's on them now, because are they one of the most overhyped teams? Possibly, going into the year, because, with all these additions comes extra anticipation. And extra kind of pressure. So maybe they do, just absolutely tank it. And our belief in Kyler Murray, I don't think it will, by the way. I'm playing devil's advocate. But yeah, I think bottom of good team, because I think the others have proven. Actually,
right now I'm probably going to take the Cardinals over the Texans, but it's hard to bet on Deshaun Watson in it.
Yeah, exactly. Just leave it as it is for now.
Yeah.
Maybe we've got Denver a little bit too high. Maybe. Maybe. I'll go through the next one though.
Miami Dolphins.
There's no team that defines rebuilding, I don't think, more than the Miami Dolphins after last season and the way they just acquired all of the draft picks. So I do think they're still in a rebuilding phase. However, they might be the peak of rebuilding. I'm not sure.
Really?
They might be. Or the second best rebuilding team out of them.
I'd definitely put them over the Bengals. I think we can agree on that. They're a better state than the Bengals are. Probably over the Lions, maybe, because they've got, like you said, they really overhauled the defense in free agency.
I'm tempted to put the New York Giants. Because they won games last year with a really bad team. And the head coach, is it? That's
Brian
not
Flores.
Brian Flores. I was going to bloody say Mike Florio, the analyst. Brian Flores. That's the one. He won games like last year that he proves, beating the Patriots on the final week. I think he's a good coach that can inspire the player. I'm thinking above the New York Giants, maybe the top of rebuilding.
I mean, I'll go with them above New York Giants if you want, because I think Panthers, Giants, Dolphins, they're all at a very similar stage. They could go in any order really. But I'll put them up with the Giants for you. I think, you know what, it's at this all. I really think it's too robust, because if Tua ends up being injury prone and terrible, it's all right having all these nice players on the roster, but if your quarterback stinks, you're probably going to be not a very good team.
Well, Magic, he won a few games last year.
He did, but he's up and down Fitzmagic. You don't really want him as your quarterback if you're aspiring to be a playoff team, well, at least a playoff team.
I wouldn't say so.
We'll leave it as it is for now. But we can come back to it.
Yeah, that's fair.
So I'm going to talk for the Buffalo Bills. One tier comes to mind for me straight away, and that's a good team. I think they're a good team.
They're near the top of the team, though. Yeah. I think they'll be the second best in good team.
Yeah, we'll move them up. But the Bills, the defense is absolutely incredible. Last season won them a lot of games. Obviously, they've added Stephon Diggs, the wide receiver from the Vikings, to help Josh Allen on the offense. Still got Cole Beasley, still got John Brown. Offensive line still a bit weak. Could do with some improvements there. But yeah, I totally agree. They're a good team, and we'll move them up. Think above the Cardinals, above the Texans, above the Broncos. I think it's fair. They finished 10-6 last season, made the playoffs.
I think they're above the Falcons. I think it's up between us and them as to who is top of good team. And the thing is, their offensive line's not great, but Josh Allen has really good mobility. I think he's really good. Deep balls weren't the best last year, but he had very limited weapons. And I think with the players they added in the free agency and actually in the draft for a team that didn't have a first round pick, I don't think they had a decent enough draft. So I agree. I think good team.
I think when you look at the division, they could easily be a playoff team.
Yes.
But because the division is very weak. But again, I want to see Josh Allen. I want to see more Josh Allen, that he can prove he can win in the clutch. Then we might bump into a playoff team. But I think they could definitely be a playoff team next year. But I still think the Vikings are just a bit better team than the Bills. I think you can agree on that as well.
I think it'd be very close. But again, when we talk about their division, this is their year with them. I'm going to say it now. We're not putting them in this tier, but the Patriots are in sort of a rebuild. We're not putting them in that tier. Don't worry. I will refuse that. But they're not the immortal franchise we've seen for the last 2 decades. So Bills could easily be a playoff team. I've actually got them to win the division, but never count out Bill Belichick and his boys. Next up is the Indianapolis Colts, who I think had a disappointing year last year, but I would put them in good team.
I totally agree. The Phillip Rivers signing for me was very underrated. I thought people were overlooking it because Phillip Rivers had a terrible season with the Chargers, but But behind that offensive line, the Chargers have still got T.Y. Hilton on the outside, still got Jack Dale at tight end, and Frank Reich's a really good head coach. They obviously took Jonathan Taylor in the draft for a new running back, and their defense is a very young, athletic one. They've got it's led by Darius Leonard at linebacker. I agree. Obviously, they got DeForest Buckner in the draft as they traded for DeForest Buckner and the 49ers. Yeah. I agree. They're a good team, and they'll be contending for the AFC South next year along with the Texans, Titans, and maybe Jags.
Yeah. A brilliant addition. Still got Marlon Mack as well, who was got a good yards last year. So it's impressive. It's an impressive team, and I think they'll be definitely out to do a lot better than they did last year. Where would you put them on the scale of good teams?
I'll leave it as it is for now. Might come back to it, but the Phillip Rivers, like I said, it was a nice signing, but I want to see him. I want to make sure he hasn't just completely regressed, down. Because I looked at it and thought, nice signing for the Colts. They've got a good offensive line. They'll be able to protect him. But was last year the beginning of the end for Phillip Rivers, and will he continue to decline no matter what team he's on, just because he's getting older? I'd probably take the Cardinals over them right now. And the Texans have shown the past few years that they can make the playoffs, and the Colts can't. Well, the Colts made the playoffs, but Andrew Luck retired, obviously, so that hampered their team a lot.
Do you think Denver are too high?
We've probably given too much credit with Denver at the moment.
Yeah, we have. They're still a good team, but I do think we've given Denver I don't know. We'll get back to it at the end. We'll decide at the end. It's too tough right now.
Now it is the Oakland Raiders. They're in the same division in the AFC West along with the Kansas City Chiefs, I just said won the Super Bowl. Raiders. Right now I'm looking at average team.
They've got to be top. They've got to be top if they go in there. I think they made some good additions, and I do think if they go anywhere, I'd put them at the top of average because, well, they had playoff aspirations last year and they could have made it. I admittedly, personally, I hate using the word bottled it. Absolutely, I think they did with that loss to, was it Jacksonville in the black hole? Yeah, you can't be doing that when you're chasing playoffs. So they did have an aspiration. It's a bit rude because they had aspirations, whereas the likes of, Denver were never really in with a shout. But I just see more in that Denver team than I do in that Raiders team. So top of average is fair enough.
Yeah, I think they're still an average team as it stands right now because I wouldn't say they're a tier above the Browns or the tier above the Bears. I think they're all very similar teams, them three. And John Gruden needs to prove it he can win because he's already coming in and getting all his players and all these draft picks that he got for Khalil Mack, but he's not a winning season yet. Also, I think were they 8-8 last year? The Raiders or 7-9, somewhere in that area. But yeah, the draft was all right. They got some speedy wide receivers in. Obviously, got Lynn Bowden in the third round, Henry Ruggs in the first round, Brian Edwards again in the third round. So they're going to be an explosive offense moving to Las Vegas. But yeah, right now I'm looking average team for the Las Vegas Raiders.
Yeah, I completely agree.
And now it is Kieran's turn to top up the Philadelphia Eagles.
Fine, mate, because it is your division rivals, the Philadelphia Eagles. Right. Aye. This is tough. Again, they added a wide receiver in the first round, which is what they needed. They added Jalen Reagor. I questioned it at the time because of who was available on the board, but they chose who they chose. They then took Jalen Hurts in the second. They have a good team already. If Carson Wentz can stay fit and healthy, I do think they have a good team. I'm thinking playoffs.
I agree. Unfortunately, I agree.
Bottom playoffs.
Like I said, I know I get on Carson Wentz back quite a bit and roast him a bit, but when he is healthy, he's a good quarterback. It's not as good as Dak Prescott, but still a good quarterback. The team on the roster of a whole is absolutely stacked. Obviously, the wide receivers are a bit weak. They've added more people there with trades in the draft. But their offensive line is one of the best in the league. They've got arguably a top 3 tight end. The defensive line is still very good with Brandon Graham and Fletcher Cox at defensive tackle. Linebackers, they've been definitely improved there. So obviously they traded for Darius Slay, so they've now got a number 1 cornerback. They lost Malcolm Jenkins in the safety, but still got Rodney McLeod and some other good veterans there. And Doug Peterson, hate him or love him, he's a very, very good head coach. Top 5 head coach in the league, in my opinion. I agree. The Eagles definitely a playoff team, and they'll be competing with my Dallas Cowboys to see who can win the division.
Yeah, but I do think the Packers and Cowboys can sit quite prettily above the Philadelphia Eagles. Maybe I've discounted Minnesota a bit, but
I thought they were a playoff team, Minnesota. I did say, didn't I? I thought they definitely deserved a spot in that playoff bracket.
maybe we'll just. I was going to say with the ranks of this, we're only going to have about 5 playoff teams, and the rest just aren't going to be in there. But
Yeah,
it's fine. We'll go to the next team. Who I'll be banking that they're not a playoff team. I'll put money on it.
I'd say they're rebuilding. I think they're the bottom team.
Yes, yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
I really do.
The bottom, please, no. Get them to the bottom.
I'm sorry, Rowan. I'm really, really sorry, but the roster, the coach, he's coaching for his job. This team is looking like probably going to have the first overall pick next year, and they could have a chance to get Trevor Lawrence or Justin Fields, whoever they want to pick. But yeah, they're definitely in a rebuilding stage, and out of all the teams in the NFL, could be the bottom. We do think they're the bottom.
I mean, it's positive though. At least they might get Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah. If you're getting a good quarterback out of it, it's good, but it's not looking too great now for the Jags. Obviously, got rid of Calais Campbell. They're trading away for I think it was half a can of Coke and a bag of chips. That's all they pretty much got for him.
Baltimore as well. To Baltimore.
Yeah, exactly. Yannick Ngakoue, you don't want to be there. They traded Jalen Ramsey mid-season. There's not a lot of great weapons on offense. The offensive line's quite old. And Minshew had a good rookie year, but can he carry this team in his second year? I wouldn't want to put that much pressure on his shoulders because I just don't think they're a great team. But yeah, I think it's very, very fair where we've put them.
Very, very fair. The bottom. From the bottom to the top. Within a literal minute. Again, it's a bit like last week where it was like, where do we put Pat Mahomes? Well, where do we put Kansas City? Right at the top. Defending Super Bowl champions. Haven't lost anything, really, of any note. Just additions. And now they've got their quarterback down for the decades to come. So,
yeah, I agree.
What can we say?
The reigning Super Bowl champions have still got the Patrick Mahomes, quarterback who won, reigning Super Bowl MVP. Like Kieran said, they franchise tag Chris Jones, so they didn't lose any starters really. Andy Reid's still there, and they're definitely still going to be contenders and definitely favourites to go back to back and win the Super Bowl.
Exactly. There's not much else we can say there, is there?
Yeah, that's it really. It's everyone knows how good they are. It's standard. They're a contender.
Yeah, easily.
100%. And now it is the Los Angeles Chargers, who division opponents with the Kansas City Chiefs. Had a very good offseason, I thought. Really, really good offseason. Defense looks fantastic. Obviously, they got the Justin Herbert, the rookie from Oregon, in the draft. Had a bad record last year, but again, Joey Bosa was injured. Derwin James, their star safety, who in my opinion is probably the second best safety in the league behind Tyrann Mathieu, who was injured last season. He missed a lot of games. I'm not. It's tough because the division they're in. They're at least a good team. I mean, they can't go any lower than the third best team in good team.
The thing is with them, for me, it's like they are so much better than what they showed last year, and their defense is absolutely star-studded. Honestly, there's players everywhere, but then we can't call them a playoff team just due to the division they're in.
Yeah,
because obviously they're alongside Denver and alongside Las Vegas as well. But then again, we did say Denver would make the playoffs ahead of the Chargers, so maybe putting them that high up.
we can come back to it because I think we're going to review where I think some teams in the good team category deserve to be in the playoff team category because we've currently only got 3 playoff teams.
Yeah, maybe we're being a little bit stingy, but we'll get to them eventually. And sadly, I'm up next and whack another one in good team. It's the LA Rams. I think they're just a good team. I mean, that's pretty much the be all and end all of it. Jared Goff didn't have a great year last year, but this was a Super Bowl team, not basically 2 years ago, pretty much. So they're still a good team. They lost a lot, but I think it'd be harsh for us not to put them in good team.
Yeah, I think that if you could describe the Rams, it would just be stuck in the middle because they're not low enough to like get high draft picks where they can get new star players in, but they also don't really have that team where they're looking to contend because of the players they've lost due to salary cap issues. They've probably still got the best overall player in the league, Aaron Donald, and Jalen Ramsey is a great corner, but there's not a lot of depth. You've got a superstar player on one side at cornerback, and on the other side, like, who is it? It's probably a rookie. It's just the depth is a big issue in my opinion. Sean McVay's a good coach. A lot of people jumped to him and said he's the next big thing. This guy's unbelievable when this comes to the Super Bowl. But now I think everyone can say he's not amazing, but he's still a very good coach. Yeah, I agree. I think they're a good team. Whereabouts in good team do you think they deserve to go though?
Let's decide at the end. It's too tough.
We'll stick them at the back for now, but we'll come back to it.
Yeah, because as you say, Aaron Donald is a different beast. In terms of impact player, he's up there as maybe the best in the league in terms of impact on the field.
Yeah.
I agree.
We'll move on.
I think it's you.
Yeah, I think it is. And it's the New England Patriots. And right now, after their goat, Tom Brady, left after 20 years with the team, Bill Belichick still head coach. Do you know what? Yes, they were looking to rebuild. I still think they're not. I think they're at an average team still right now, because I think Stidham was looking like it was going to be the starter, but Cam Newton comes in as the starter. And when you're rebuilding, do you really sign Cam Newton on a 1-year deal to start for you? I don't know if you do. And the division is still really up for grabs, I think. And Bill Belichick, we know how great of a coach he is. We know he can get the best out of players. I wouldn't say they're fully rebuilding yet. Obviously, they are rebuilding on the fly, but I think they're still an average team where you could see them sneak if Cam Newton works well with Bill Belichick. There's no reason why this team couldn't surprise everyone in the AFC East, because it's not the strongest division. Let's be honest.
No, but I think average. I think you've actually undersold them.
Really?
They did lose a lot, but I do think they're still a good team. Because if they weren't a good team, we wouldn't be here saying they could arguably win the division.
The reason I'm saying they could arguably win the division as an average team is because I don't believe in the other teams that are in it. Do you know what I mean? Like the Jets, who we'll come on to a bit later, they're not a great team. The Dolphins have already put them in rebuilding, and the Bills, who have put them as a good team, might bump them up to a playoff team a bit later on in the video. But again, it's like the roster as a whole is not very good, and I'm banking on the division being average for them to make the playoffs.
Do you back the Patriots to lose to all? Like, I know obviously it's a week-to-week league, but like if we just had paper for paper, do you think they lose to every team in that good category?
I could see it. The roster's not very good. It's just not like don't have a lot of weapons. Obviously, they've still got the best. The defense is still very good. Got the best cornerback in the league in Stephon Gilmore, but pass rush. I mean, who's going to be the leading pass rusher on that team? Deontay Hightower, the linebacker's good, but suffering with bad injuries. The offensive lines are getting older. I can't name one tight end on the roster.
They've got to be top of average team.
I think, yeah. Well, like I said, we were going to come back to it, but that's why I only put them in average team. But they're definitely better than these two teams. But in my opinion, I think they just are an average team on paper. Bill Belichick's a superstar coach, but the team is, average in my opinion. And it was shown I think the age of the team was shown last year when they got beat in the first round of the playoffs.
Yeah, the Texans ran through them, definitely. But I'll let you have this one. You've let me have a few. I'll let you have this one.
Yeah.
Next up, it's the New Orleans Saints. And I'm going to stick with this. Bottom of Super Bowl contender. Because this team has been Super Bowl ready for so long.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, they just can't do it. So I do believe that they are a Super Bowl ready team, a Super Bowl contender, but they've just got to not bottle it in the playoffs.
I agree. When you look at this roster, it's hard to say they're not a contender. They've still got Sean Payton as head coach. Drew Brees is still there. The team is absolutely stacked. We can go on and on about the players they've got, and it's just surely a matter of time before they can beat the Vikings in the playoffs. You know what I mean? Like, surely not another year where they lose to the Vikings in the playoffs. But yeah, they're definitely a contender, because I think when you look at the playoff teams, they could easily beat any of them playoff teams on the day.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's more than fair. And they're definitely the bottom, because I do think, I think them and San Francisco would play out a really tight game. I mean, we saw that last year with San Francisco and the Saints, but I think it's fair that we put the Saints in Super Bowl contenders because they've still got a very elite team.
Yeah, it's fair enough.
Yeah,
Is it me? Is it me? Right. Jets.
Yeah, I'll let you take it from there.
Jets, ouch. Yeah, rebuilding. And worse, in a worse position than the Bengals, in my opinion. They are rebuilding.
Do you think?
This team has just got no sense of direction. They've signed a lot of old players. They can't even sign their best player, Jamal Adams, to a contract. And they've probably got up there with the most cap room in the NFL, and they're not even willing to pay Jamal Adams $40 million a year. He's their best player. And it's just such a dysfunctional franchise. Go on.
They won 7 games.
They did win 7 games, but again, like Sam Darnold, I'm waiting to see more from him. Adam Gase, I don't rate him as a head coach. This team, in my opinion, just needs a complete retooling because Le'Veon Bell, he didn't look the same last year, and they paid him big money. He's now on the books for 3 more years at $40 million, which is an absolutely awful contract. The wide receivers are all right, but the defense, man, he's very, very inconsistent, in my opinion. You've got Jamal Adams, and who else really? And the fact you've got him willing to pay Jamal Adams, if they trade away Jamal Adams for draft picks, that's it. That says they're rebuilding, doesn't it? Really?
Yeah, I guess that's fair. It's all about that Jamal Adams thing, and he doesn't seem very happy. He wants to get paid what he's worth because he's so much more than a safety to the Jets defense. So I'll let you have it.
I will move them up a bit rebuilding. I think they're in a better state than the Bengals right now because, like you said, they did win 7 games, and I'm waiting to see if Joe Burrow can become what he can become. But right now, I'd rather be those 4 franchises in rebuilding ahead of the Jets.
Oh, you know what? Fair enough. I think there's another team coming up that's probably lower than them, but we'll get to them later. The Pittsburgh Steelers, they're just another good team, aren't they? I feel like that's all I've had. So they're just another good team.
They're a good team.
They managed to get to, I think it was 8 wins without their quarterback, and with bloody they had 2 quarterbacks and they were both crap. Dwayne Hodgins, was he one of the quarterbacks?
It was Mason Rudolph, who almost got his head knocked off by Myles Garrett.
Yeah.
And then it was also Devlin Hodges, or as they called him, Duck Hodges, as they called him in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I called him Dwayne. Sorry, Duck.
It's all right.
But
I don't know why I'm saying it's all right, like I'm Devlin Hodges.
You're Duck. Right, thanks. But no, I think Steelers, they're a good team. They'll definitely, I think we didn't see the best of Juju Smith-Schuster, but we will this year. Definitely, especially with Big Ben, who's, still on his beer and whatever during pre-season, so he's having time.
He's done it all his career, on him, really. He's never been a workout, off-season warrior. In the off-season, it's always been Big Ben and his beers. But yeah, Mike Tomlin is still a great head coach, and the defense is young and promising. Minka Fitzpatrick's a good safety. Devin Bush is a promising linebacker. Still got Cameron Hayward, a defensive end. I like the team. Again, I agree with you. It's a good team.
Yeah, but we'll arrange it later.
Yeah.
It
is now. I know. No, the thing is, I know it's me, but I'm waiting for you to finish because you're lagging when you're talking. It's kind of like freezes a bit, so I don't want to interrupt you when you're talking. I'm waiting for you to finish fully.
Robotic, am I?
It just you're having little robotic stints here and there, but that's why I'm waiting for you to finish. I don't interrupt. But yeah, it is now the Seattle Seahawks. This one's really tough for me because I think that they're at least a playoff team, 100%.
Yeah.
I'm not going to put them in Super Bowl contenders. Russell Wilson's unbelievable, but if they had a bit better roster, I would say they're a Super Bowl contender. But they're at least a playoff team for me. I'll put them here for now because I can rearrange it. I think they'll definitely be moved up, but yeah, playoff team for me, 100%.
Yeah, they're definitely. No question about it. I mean, last year they had all that injury worries, but Russell Wilson still carried them to. Was it a divisional round? I think it was divisional round.
Yeah, lost to the Packers.
Yeah, it was a divisional round. Yeah, and I mean they even gave the Packers a decent game when they had half the team in a hospital. So honestly, they didn't have a running back. They had to bring back Marshawn Lynch, but now they finally, once all the injuries are cleared up and then we start again fresh this year, they'll be up there as they usually are. And obviously a genius head coach.
Yeah.
So
yeah, Pete Carroll's a great head coach, and I'm really looking forward to watching DK Metcalf this year, the emergence of him in his second year, because he looks brilliant in his rookie season, and Russell Wilson not had a reliable target now for a long time. I know he had Doug Baldwin, who was an alright receiver, and Tyler Lockett's one of the best deep ball receivers in the league, by the way. But DK Metcalf is an absolute beast, and if he can develop that connection with Russell Wilson, that's going to be an unstoppable pairing, I think.
Yeah, man, he's a freak of nature. Next up, now this is another tough one because of the additions they made. I don't know, because they're in the same division as the Saints, so you're always going to struggle if you're in the same division as the Saints.
Before you say it, just remember we will have more good teams in the playoff team when we come to reorganise it, because there's not enough playoff teams there. So don't be put off by the fact, are they better than the team in good team?
Yeah, but I mean, you look at what they added and what they already had as well. They already had 2 elite wide receivers. They already had a pretty decent tight end. I mean, they had the best quarterback in the league. They replaced him with Tom Brady. I'm not sure why, but as if you just said yes to that.
How did I fall for that, man?
As if you've just gone, yeah, they did. You're right. Jameis has gone.
No. I mean, look, we love Jameis on the channel, and he's got a new pair of eyes now. So beware.
And shoulder. And in Tampa, they've still got elite pass rushers as well.
Yeah.
So they're not all broke on defense. Maybe a little bit needed improving in the secondary, a little bit, but
yeah,
you can't improve everything in one off season. But do you know what? Whack them in playoff team.
I agree.
Go on.
100%.
Right at the
Tom
bottom.
Brady.
Right at the bottom.
Yeah, I agree. I was going to put him in playoff team as well. I think Tom Brady coming in just brings more leadership. He just knows how to win. And when you pair him, Tom Brady was, he's doing unbelievable last season with wide receivers on the Patriots, Julian Edelman and a couple of rookies. Now he's got Chris Godwin and Mike Evans. He's also got Cameron Bray, OJ Howard at tight end. He's got an array of weapons. He's got Rob Gronkowski back on his team as well. So this is definitely a playoff team for me.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I mean, with the additions he made, yes, we're banking on them.
Yeah,
working. It's an off season like no other. He might not have been able to, But the thing is, Bruce Arians can kind of sit back and let Brady, if he's on the field, sees something, let him run the offense on times where Bruce Arians used to say, throw it downfield and hope for the best, which is what I don't always blame Jameis Winston for his picks. Yes, some of them were absurd, but Bruce Arians lives by risking it for a biscuit, whereas I think Tom Brady has not been known for that, really.
No. Definitely one of the more conservative quarterbacks in the league, makes the plays when he needs to make them, and that's why he's got 6 Super Bowl rings, along with the great head coach he had with Bill Belichick. Next team, Tennessee Titans. You know what? They're a good team, because we love good teams on this tier list so far. I'm running out of room for them.
Yeah. They may make playoffs after we rearrange because we've not got enough teams.
Yeah.
But we'll stick them there for now. I think that's fair enough, because last year, again, we talked about overperforming the Packers. I think as much as Tennessee, they just surprised a lot of people.
Yeah.
And they played Mike Vrabel. Arguably should have won Coach of the Year, in my personal opinion.
We both said Mike Vrabel on the channel, didn't we, when we were doing our predictions? He probably should have been Coach of the Year for what he did with that Tennessee Titans team. Yeah.
Who won it in the end? Was it John Harbaugh?
Yeah, I think it was John Harbaugh. Yeah, John Harbaugh. I think they finished. It's a regular season award, and the Ravens went 40-2. So they had to give it to John Harbaugh.
Yeah, fair enough. But I think still got Derrick Henry. I'm not surprised if he didn't want to play on the tag, because he carried that team last year. And I think I can't remember who it was. One of the players made that point on Twitter. I can't remember if it was a Titans player or someone else in the NFL said, "You're telling me that Tannehill can get paid this much, but the man who carried you can't," and that's fair.
Yeah.
But I think they're still a good team, definitely. And now the final team, the Washington Redskins, or whatever they will now be called.
Yeah, because what we call the Redskins for long.
No, I don't think they will be. But with a rename comes a rebuild. And with a rebuild, they become the second worst team in the league behind the Cincinnati Bengals, in my opinion. Although They have an amazing front seven.
The front seven's incredible, but the franchise is just so ridiculously dysfunctional. It's just the pay players. They're just paying the wrong players, in my opinion. They really are. The front seven's incredible, like I said. Obviously got Chase Young, but this team's not ready to compete right now, and it showed last season why they went 13-3. They're just not a very good team. So they're definitely they're just really building, aren't they?
Sorry, I can confirm they did not go 13-3, which is what you just said. They did not go 13.
3-13, I meant to say, not 13.
Yeah.
3-13. They were the second worst team in the entire league.
But I think for me, the thing is though, the only reason that I wanted to put them at second worst in league, just in front of Jacksonville, but then I love that front seven, but I just don't believe in Dwayne Haskins, and I don't believe I cannot name a single game changer on offense.
No, it's Terry McLaurin's a decent receiver, but other than that, it's like who's leading the league in touchdowns, who's leading the league in receiving yards for that team?
Yeah.
You can't even name the players.
They've not helped Dwayne Haskins at all. I mean, I know he had a really poor year, but they've not helped him in any way. And I won't be surprised if he gets shunned out, which is a bit unfair after, he's not had much to work with. But I love the front seven, but I think second worst. Well, we'll rearrange it in a minute when we're finished.
Oh, shit. Yeah, I agree. Right now, they're definitely a rebuilding team. So that's the order complete. Well, but we're going to make some changes. So
let's start with the bottom. We'll start with the bottom.
Yeah.
Right. Is there anyone there that you think is too high or too low? I don't think that needs massive changes. I think that's okay.
I think that's fine in my opinion. All those teams are rebuilding or retooling, whatever you want to call it, because that people don't like to say, "Oh, we're not completely rebuilding. We're just retooling some positions." But yeah, I think the bottom tier, it's definitely fine. I think.
Yeah, average. I argue that the Patriots are a good team, and maybe once we move some teams to playoff, you might agree.
Right. Yeah.
I put Patriots bottom of good team, but apart from that, the average section's fine.
Yeah, I agree.
So we'll see whether Patriots get moved up to good. Right now we need to order this good tier about how many more playoffs teams do we need? So we've got 9.
We've got the 9 so far, and there's 7 in each conference. So what's that? So we need 5 more teams in the playoff team section.
Jesus. Right. Pop Minnesota up there.
Yep. And I told you, they're a playoff team.
Pop the Bills up there.
I put them up with the Bucks. Yeah, Bills there.
Right. So we need 3 more.
3 more teams that are looking to make the playoffs.
Right. I'd put the Colts up there.
I'd probably put the Colts as well, yeah. But we can. How we've got it so far is so we've got the AFC West winners in the Chiefs. Do you think another team from the AFC West could become a playoff team out of the Chargers and the Broncos?
I'd probably say the Broncos, but I don't want to put them in playoffs just yet. I think the more likelihood that it's more likely that the Colts make the playoffs because of the division.
Right, we'll put the Colts in there then.
Because the thing is, Colts, Titans, and Texans are all none of them have made the playoffs yet, and at least one of them are.
Yeah.
So we have to put one of them in. Now we're stuck with this section here. I wouldn't be surprised if we go on.
I was going to say I could see the Cardinals sneaking in as the last team in the NFC.
I wouldn't be against that. But the Rams, though.
Nah, I can't see that. The Rams are in a. Can you really see 3 teams from the NFC West making the playoffs? Well, no, I've just said another team there, the Cardinals, but
I don't think. I think we're overshooting it if we put Cardinals in playoff team when we've not even seen. I mean, they finished 5 and whatever.
5 and 11, yeah.
Oh, shit. I think we saw enough from the Steelers. I think we definitely saw enough from the Steelers to warrant a playoff place.
Yeah. Yeah.
Go on. I might go. Is there 2 more? We need 1 more.
So we've got 4 in Super Bowl contenders, and then we've got 4 in the playoff teams, so we need 2 more. So we'll throw the Steelers in as a wildcard team because the Ravens will win that division, as we already predicted. Steelers can come in as a wildcard team. Who was the
No,
last wildcard team?
I wouldn't be surprised if it's the Patriots, but I think we at least put Patriots in good team. I'm
All right.
arguing.
I'll give you that. I'll give you that. Whatever, but I'll give you them as a good team. But they're going bottom, a good team.
Right. So what divisions have we got left? We've got the Chargers, the Broncos, and the Raiders in the same division as the Chiefs, but they could cancel each other all out.
Yeah.
You've got the Titans in the same division as the Colts, but the same division as the Texans. Who are you thinking? Who are you leaning towards? Maybe I'm leaning towards the Broncos after all, but I think putting them in playoff team again is a reach.
Let's think. So I'm looking at all them teams right now who I think could make the playoffs.
All right.
We've not even mentioned the Portland Falcons.
Yeah. Short list, I think, of a top three: Titans, Broncos, and if you want to pop Cardinals in, maybe.
I like that Chargers defense, man.
Yeah, true. I'd pick the Titans.
You put the Titans in there, right?
Well then, let's fill the dead air while we both think about why we're defending certain teams. It is.
Go on then. I'll give you the Titans because we've already got quite a lot of NFC teams in there. So I'll give you the Titans.
Rookie quarterback in Justin Herbert and Tyrod Taylor. Is he good enough to carry a team to the playoffs? We don't know. Now, before we finally leave, because that took longer than I thought it would, let's arrange the good teams.
By the way, I've just realised as well, because we've got 2 teams in the NFC there, we can only have 5 more teams from the NFC in the playoff teams. So an NFC team must miss out of the playoffs because we've already got 6 NFC teams and only 4 AFC teams.
Okay, so maybe drop one of them out for the Chargers then. Or
the Broncos. Or the Texans.
No, I'm not dropping them out for the Texans. Sorry, Texans. Who
do you drop out of them 6? Someone's got to miss out.
Probably us. Out of them 6 that are there. Yeah, just drop us and put someone else.
Sure? We've not seen the books yet. Don't forget.
Oh, but they've got an arguably better roster.
So we're kicking the Vikings out. Are you sure?
Yeah, they almost finished even when the quarterback turned the ball over 30 times.
True.
Yeah, put either Chargers or Broncos now.
You know what? We'll put the Broncos in.
Yeah, sure.
We'll get them in there. Why not?
Let's not take it. I think they're bottom of it, by the way. They are worse than the other the teams we've got in there.
I've just angled up. That's all. They're all NFC teams. They're all AFC teams.
Oh, fine. We'll leave it at that. And in terms of good teams, anyone out of place there? Nah, I think it's fine. Maybe Texans a bit lower than Rams and Cardinals, but
I think it's we've got to wait and see yet whether the Texans will fall off as much as we think they'll do. So I'll leave as it is for now.
That's fine.
Yeah. So that is the tier list.
That concludes the tier list. We'll talk you through it one more time. Teams that are rebuilding going into this season. It's the Carolina Panthers, the Miami Dolphins, the New York Giants, the Detroit Lions, the New York Jets, the Cincinnati Bengals, the Washington Redskins, and the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Average teams.
Yes, alternatively, you go.
We've got the Oakland Raiders, John Gruden's Oakland Raiders, the Cleveland Browns with the new head coach Kevin Stefanski, and the Chicago Bears.
In good teams, we've got my Minnesota Vikings as the best good team in the league. The LA Chargers, the Atlanta Falcons, the Houston Texans, the Arizona Cardinals, the LA Rams, and Bill Belichick's superpower, the New England Patriots.
And before I say playoff teams, I just want to keep saying Oakland Raiders because I'm used to it so much. Las Vegas Raiders. I need to stop saying Oakland Bloody Raiders. They are not the Las Vegas Raiders.
Even pick up on it. That's how bad it's become.
That's how bad it's got. So playoff teams, our playoff teams from the NFC and the AFC, we've got the Dallas Cowboys, the Green Bay Packers, the Philadelphia Eagles, the Seattle Seahawks, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and then we've got the Buffalo Bills in the AFC, the Indianapolis Colts, the Pittsburgh Steelers, Tennessee Titans, and the Denver Broncos.
And then the Super Bowl contenders, the reigning Super Bowl champions, the Kansas City Chiefs, the reigning 14-2 division winners, not division winners, AFC winners in the Baltimore Ravens. We've got Super Bowl runners-up, San Francisco 49ers, and your divisional round bottle jobs, the New Orleans Saints. No, obviously the New Orleans Saints as well in Super Bowl contenders. But that's it. Finally, that's our tier list.
That is it. That's the tier list done and dusted. I'll just quickly exit off my screen so Kieran can talk you through what else was on the channel, because we make sure we don't want to forget that we do a minute every single week.
No, and here is the long spiel that I'm yet to get a script for, or yet to get something to just go all on the bottom so I can just go look down there. Right, let me take a breath. Right, on Tuesdays, we've got the Wrestling Corner with Rowan and Simon. They talk about all things wrestling. They'll be talking about Fyter Fest Night 2 and the Great American Bash Night 2 as well. Keith Lee now has both the North American and NXT titles, so that's something, spoilers for you, because I was watching that last night. On a Wednesday, the granddaddy of them all, the Top Corner, I'm part of it. We talk about all things European football as the leagues are slowly winding down now. So we've already got rid of the Bundesliga. That's finished. Up next, England, Spain, Syria. Still yet to finish off. So we'll be talking through that. On a Thursday, it's us. We'll probably do either a running back or wide receiver tier list next. More than likely, we might even do a stadiums tier list or something along them lines as well. Some random other stuff, maybe a head coach tier list as well. We've got lots of ideas to get us through the next coming weeks, so keep tuning in and we'll go through them. Now, usually I would say there's nothing on a Friday, but there is this week. Tomorrow, the Europa League and Champions League live reactions draw, as they are done all at the same time, so we will know who each team will face leading up to the final of both Champions League and the Europa League. Lots of big teams still left. That Europa League, especially for me personally, I don't know why, it's just looking tasty with Bayer Leverkusen, Inter Milan, Man United, Wolves, all that good stuff. And also, I keep going, on the Twitch channel, twitch.tv/the Top Corner. It is the finale of the Euros virtually that we have done. We sadly saw the departure of Wills Israel last night. Was it last night? Yeah, because
last night. But we're in the third place playoff against Poland, so I think Israel would have took that at the start of the tournament.
I mean, honestly, I can see the statues now. So go tune in for the Twitch channel for the live final of France v Croatia. Yes, you are not back in 2018. We are not redoing the World Cup final. That is just played out. Yeah, literally. So if we see a 4-2 PES game, we know that something went wrong.
Yeah.
But that's all from me. And I don't know if you want to say anything, Will, but...
No, that's it, really. Just next week we'll have another tier list on the channel, and hopefully we just get some news and some more traction, whether the NFL season will actually be starting on time or whether it will be delayed or not. But we'll have to wait and see for that news. Thanks for joining this week. We will see you next week. Goodbye.